Lie on your back with your legs pointed straight up a wall and against the wall. Your upper body should be relaxed with your arms out to the sides at about a 45-degree angle from the body with the palms face up. When getting into this position, get your hips as close to the wall as possible. If you notice that your hips, your pelvis, or your tailbone want to lift up off the floor, you need to scoot back until you're able to place your hips as flat on the floor as they can go without you actually having to force them down. You can slide back up to 12 to 16 inches from the wall if you need to, but it is imperative that your pelvis, tailbone, and hips do not lift up off the ground. Once you've found your position, you're going to flex the upper thigh muscles, the quadriceps, as tight as you can, which is going to press the back of your knees towards the wall. Turn your feet in so that they're pointed straight back behind you, and flex your feet and your toes down towards you. Once you do this, you're going to place additional stress that goes all the way up into the pelvis, and your pelvis might lift up off the floor. If it does, slide back until you can hold that position without your pelvis or your tailbone lifting up. If nothing changed, then hold this position. Make sure that the outer edge of your feet, where the pinky toe side is pulled down and is level with the inside edge of both feet. Keep the upper body relaxed and hold this position for the recommended amount of time. Balance and symmetry check. Pay attention to any differences in how difficult it is to flex one leg versus the other, or pull the foot down in one leg, then the other side. Also pay attention to where your hips, back, and shoulders are pressured against the ground. Do you feel like one side is heavier into the ground than the other? Any of these asymmetries should even out over time. Lie on your side with your knees bent so you have a 90-degree angle at the hips and the knees. Your knees and feet should be stacked directly on top of each other. Place a block or some object in front of your knees so you can use it as a reference to keeping your knees stacked directly on top of each other. Pull the bottom shoulder back underneath you so that the weight of your body is directly on top of it. Extend your hands straight out in front of you so your palms are touching. You're going to raise the top arm straight up in the air and take the hand of your bottom arm and use it to help hold your top knee to make sure it remains stacked. Allow the top arm and the upper body to now fall back towards the floor behind you, keeping your knees stacked and making sure that you're touching the block with both knees the entire time. Allow your body to fall as far as what's comfortable for you. Don't worry if you don't touch the floor. That's okay. Just wait there as your body opens up on its own. The biggest part of this position is to breathe deeply in and out through your stomach. When you breathe in, allow your stomach and sides to expand and fill with air. And then when you're breathing out, let them collapse. With each exhale, try to feel your body move just a little bit closer towards the floor as you get a little bit more rotation. Make sure that your arm does not fall lower than the height of your shoulder. If anything, it could be a little bit higher. If by the end of the recommended duration of the hold, you feel like your body's still moving, you can remain there just a little bit longer until you feel like it's not really opening up anymore. I wouldn't stay here longer than about a 3-minute hold. As you're going through the rotation, make sure that your head also is pointed the direction of the rotating arm. Once you've completed the hold and feel like your body's not moving anymore, come out of this position exactly the same way that you went into it, and then switch sides and repeat. Balance and symmetry check. You're going to want to take notes of all the different things that you feel working in this position. Do you feel parts of your back, things stretching, things working in terms of muscles? Compare and contrast when you do one side versus the other side. Over time, both sides should start to even out and you should be able to open up further as you become more symmetrical. Start on your hands and your knees. Your knees should be directly below your hips and your hands should be directly below your shoulders. You're going to initiate the motion from your hips. Start by tucking your pelvis underneath, allowing your pelvis and your lower back to round. Then, imagine going vertebra by vertebra. You're going to start rounding every part of your back, from the lower back to the mid back to the upper back, and then allow the head to collapse down towards the floor. From here, you're going to start going into extension by tipping your pelvis forward using the muscles of the front of the hips. Now, the goal here is to try to keep the rest of the back and the head in flexion as you tip the pelvis forward by itself as much as it can go. When you realize it can't go any further, you're going to start arching the lower back, then the mid back, then the upper back. As you get to the upper back, you're going to allow the shoulder blades to collapse together, keeping your elbows as locked as possible. Once you've gotten to that point, then your head and neck are going to be looking up. You'll now be in full extension. You're going to go back and forth between the movements, initiating the movement from your pelvis and then finishing the movement from the head. Try to prevent yourself from shifting back and forward, meaning keep your pelvis over your knees and keep your shoulders over your hands. Remember to breathe throughout this entire position. Balance and symmetry check. Pay attention to the differences between how one side of the body feels versus the other. Take notes of different things that stand out. Also, pay attention to how difficult it is to move the body from one segment to the other. This tells you a lot about the relationship between the pelvis, the hips, and the shoulders. As this gets better over time, this segmentation should get easier. Stand next to a wall facing the wall. Place your palms on the wall with your fingers pointed straight up. Make sure your wrists, elbows, and shoulders are in line. Your feet should be parallel and in line with your knees and hips. Walk back from the wall and sink your chest towards the ground until you have a straight line all the way from your hands to your pelvis. Using the muscles of the front of your hips, tip your pelvis forward to create an arch in your lower back. Make sure your heels are directly under your hips and keep your elbows locked straight. Once you're here, flex your quads tight and let the weight of your body go a little bit more towards the balls of your feet. Hold this position here. Balance and symmetry check. Do you feel a difference in how easy it is for your chest to sink down into the ground when it comes to paying attention to how your shoulders feel from left to right? Do you notice different muscles along your back that are working? These are all asymmetries that will get better and improve to become more symmetrical over time.